Welcome to the Explainer. Okay, so if you're in design or construction, you know this headache. Trying to keep that mountain of data in your specifications perfectly in sync with your 3D models. Well, today, we're diving into a tool designed to solve that exact problem.
Right? If you're working in Revit, this dance is all too familiar. You update a product in your spec sheet, and then you have to jump right back into the model to change the very same thing. It's this constant, tedious cycle of double entry that's just waiting for an error to happen.
But what if there was a seamless bridge connecting them? That's precisely what the Fohlio Revit add-in is all about. It creates a dynamic, two-way sync that plugs your spec data directly into your model. The whole point is to eliminate that duplicate work and get your entire project aligned. So let's see how this thing actually works. We're going to start with the first workflow, pushing information from your Revit model straight into your Fohlio spec sheet. This is perfect for when your 3D model is really the main source of truth. And this isn't some kind of mysterious black box. The whole export process is laid out right here. It's a super clear, four-step path to get your model data exactly where you need it, in your spec sheet. The process is really intuitive. First, you just select the areas from your model that you want to work with. Second, you match up the Revit categories, like furniture, with your Fohlio categories. Third, you pick exactly which pieces of data you want to send over. And finally, you can set a unique key. And this is a really powerful feature we're going to come back to in a minute. Okay, now let's flip that entire workflow on its head. What if your detailed spec sheet is the real starting point? This is where you pull all that rich information from Fohlio directly into your Revit model. And get this process is even more direct. It's really all about mapping, just connecting the data in your Fohlio spec sheet to the right parameters inside your Revit families. You're basically enriching your model in just a couple of clicks. It's really just a simple game of connect the dots. You tell the add-in that your cost column in Fohlio goes to the cost parameter in Revit, supplier goes to supplier, and you're done. You map it once, and the system actually remembers those connections for your entire team. So we've mentioned this unique key a couple of times now, and let me tell you, this isn't just some minor feature. This is the engine that drives the entire sync. It's where the real magic happens, especially for those flexible, spec-driven workflows. The best way to think of this unique key is like a digital barcode. It's just a single, unique ID, maybe a tag or a CAD reference, that you attach to an item in Fohlio and to its matching placeholder family in Revit. It's the exact same barcode in both places. And here's where that barcode really pays off. You can take an item you've fully fleshed out in Fohlio, I'm talking price, supplier, dimensions, all of it. And because it has that unique key, you can push all that data into a simple placeholder box in Revit for the very first time. You don't even need to export from Revit to get started. It's a game changer. So that brings up a big question. Which way is better? Should you start in Revit and export or start in Fohlio and import? The truth is, there's no single right answer. It really all depends on how your team likes to work. Here's the simple breakdown. If your 3D model is the absolute, unquestionable source of truth for your project, then you should start in Revit. But if your process is a bit more flexible and spec-driven, where you're constantly changing and updating product choices, starting in Fohlio is the way to go. It lets you develop all your specs really fast and then push all that rich data into the model when it's ready. So what does this all add up to? Well, a totally transformed workflow. You finally get a single, reliable source of truth for the entire project. And that means no more mind-numbing duplicate data entry and way fewer coordination errors between your drawings and your specs. And that really leaves us with one final thought. Once you automate away all those manual, repetitive tasks of data synchronization, what are you and your team going to do with all of that reclaimed time and creative energy?